Part 97. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 964. Sudbai brought Hui Niang to the scientific research department, ready to test the latest research products. Since he became the shaman of the tribe, he has tried every means to improve the quality of life. After all, the living environment in the primitive era was very harsh. Since the living environment cannot be changed, then the quality of life must be changed. Which, Ju immediately greeted him. He is the head of the scientific research department, and he is over 30 years old. He can be regarded as an old man in the tribe. How are the curtains you developed? Sudbai asked. The curtains used in Yong'an building are rewarded by the system. They are very good in shading and texture. But it is not enough for him to use alone. Curtains are a necessity of life, and research and development is urgent. Once the rainy season arrives, it will rain all the time and the light will definitely not be good. If you open the windows, water vapor will drift in, and people will easily get sick. But if you close the windows, it will be very stuffy and there will be no air circulation at all. It is the same in summer. Although it will be cooler if you open the window, you will also be tortured by direct sunlight, which will make the room even hotter. Although it is a good idea to use leaves to block the sun, there will be no wind blowing in at the same time, and the room will be very stuffy at this time. Curtains are the best regulator. As long as there are curtains in front of the windows, many problems can be solved. We are working hard on research and development, and we have developed several samples. Do you want to take a look? Ju said respectfully. Show it to me, Sudbai ordered. The scientific research department has been developing many new things since its establishment. Of course, the research and development materials for these new things are all provided by Sudbai, otherwise people in the primitive era would not understand these. Yes, Ju immediately asked his apprentice to bring over the curtain samples that he had made these days. Since it is still being tested, the curtains will not be made directly, but only a rough sample. Ju handed over several small curtain samples. He walked over and said respectfully, look at what needs to be improved. He was trying his best. Ever since he received the task of developing curtains, he has been busy with it. Sudbai picked up a gray-brown curtain sample and it seemed that the size was just right in his hand. He wrinkled as soon as he took it. Frowning, he asked, is this made of the same material as linen? The feel of this small curtain is so familiar, it's the same as the linen he just took over the development of the tribe. Yes, which Ju saw Sudbai frowning and starting to sweat, and immediately explained, we wanted to try different things, so we also chose linen material to try it out. He regrets it very much now. Not to mention how young Wu is, but the sense of majesty radiating from the inside out is really intimidating. Not to mention that Wu is frowning now, he must be angry. It's okay, linen curtains are a bit luxurious, and many people can't afford to replace them with linen curtains. Sudbai put down the curtain sample and continued, as for other tribes, we cannot let them replace these curtains. Wu, isn't this a product that can buy us a lot of things? Why not let other tribes switch? Yuying asked curiously. Silly girl, curtains require a lot of materials. If we really use linen to make curtains, we will waste a lot of linen. Shat. Lan stood up and continued, and after those people change back, they may not really use them as curtains. Doesn't this make those people cheaper? It turns out that linen cannot be used as the raw material for curtains, Yu Ying said immediately. I understand, I have written it all down, and I will continue to develop materials suitable for curtains, Ju immediately responded. He felt relieved when he saw that Wu was not angry, but picked up the second curtain sample and started to look at it. The light transmittance of this material is good, but it is a bit hard and uncomfortable to hold in the hand. How can the wind still enter the room? Obviously, Sudbai was also dissatisfied with the second curtain sample. The texture was like the kind of socks that had been washed and dried casually. They were so hard that they could not move. Woo, we don't think this part is suitable. It's indeed too hard, and it might even hurt people. Ju laughed awkwardly. When this curtain was developed, he also laughed at himself like this. Subai didn't say anything, just nodded lightly, picked up the third curtain and started to look at it. He nodded thoughtfully. Head, said, although this curtain is soft, it has poor light transmittance. Subai held the curtain and looked at the top of his head for a long time, and found that it completely blocked the sunlight above. This is also our problem. With the lessons learned from the second piece, we just want to improve the softness. Who knows, he lowered his head in embarrassment. Subai looked at the last curtain sample left. He picked it up and looked at it for a while before shaking his head and saying, "This piece is too heavy. It must have used a lot of materials, right? Curtains are not luxury goods, they are just a kind of luxury goods. Daily necessities are unnecessary if the materials and costs are too high. People in primitive tribes now exchange labor value for food, items, etc. If the curtains require a high labor value when they are launched, I am afraid no one will be willing to exchange them. Yes, these curtains are not ideal. We are still in the process of research and development and will definitely combine these advantages to make them," Ju said immediately. He was already sweating a lot, and he was quite nervous. You can try to find more materials in the forest. There are many plants in the forest, and you are not sure which plant fiber will be suitable, Subai reminded. He didn't want the people in the scientific research department to be too rigid. They should learn to use everything around them. Instead of consuming the original things in the tribe all the time, it is even more important to innovate when there is no clue. Thank you, Wu, for the reminder. I will take people to the forest to start looking for materials later. It suddenly dawned on him. He had always relied too much on witches, and for a moment he forgot about the forest that he had been relying on for survival. It had fed generations of people, and many things in the tribe almost came from the forest. Pay more attention to plants with large leaves. If they feel light and flexible, you can bring them back and try them out, Subai warned. The curtains of primitive tribes can only rely on plant fibers. Weave several of them together to see the effect. Materials like nylon and polyester on the other side of the earth are not available here, so we can only use local materials. Got it, I wrote it all down, Ju said immediately. The apprentices beside him also nodded repeatedly, thinking that listening to the witch's speech was really beneficial. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 965. Subai left after checking the curtains. There was still another product to be inspected. That is the tap water system, which is a plan he has been planning for a long time. Relying on the water in the pond in the middle of the forest every day and letting it flow to the pond in the middle of the tribe for use is outdated. In the beginning, this was a good idea for tribes who were short of water, but now it is different. Now that the tribe relies on a river, it must rely on the river for food, and the tap water system is the best way. It can save the tribe the trouble of having to go out to fetch water all the time, and can also solve the problem of bathing for everyone. 10 minutes later, Subai came to another workshop, which was the workshop that produced water pipes. Of course, the raw material is the branches of hollow trees. In primitive times, there was no plastic to make plastic water pipes for you. Wu, we are in the process of developing it, and we didn't know you were coming. The ancient wooden horse walked out. He is the most outstanding carpenter in the Yanlong tribe. Since everyone in the tribe moved back to their ancestral land, he has taken in many apprentices to learn under his knees. You know, the Black Snake tribe has not yet invaded the Yanlong tribe. During the Dragon tribe, Gumu already had many outstanding apprentices. Each of them could make many exquisite wooden products if they went alone. Now they are just continuing the scenery of the past. It's okay. How is the research and development of water pipes going? Any clues? Subai asked. He had already issued an order to make water pipes last time, that is, to improve on the original basis. In the past, the trunks of hollow trees were used directly as water pipes, but in the long run, it is very easy. Broken. If your tap water system is mature and you still use hollow tree trunks as water pipes, I believe that water pipes will burst within a few months. Burst of water pipes is not a big deal, but the water pipes made at the same time problems will occur at the same time, which is a big deal. We have already started experimenting, and the only problem now is the turning point. The problem at the turning point is more difficult to solve. Gumyu is caught in a difficult problem. His latest experiment is the inside of a water pipe, thinking about what materials to use to insulate the inside of the trunk so that it will not be immersed in water for a long time. As long as the hollow tree trunk is not immersed in water for a long time, the life of the water pipes can be greatly improved. But this is unrealistic. If the water pipes are not flowing, there will be no meaning of existence. Are you talking about the turning point of water pipes? Subai asked. Yes, Wu, let me show it to you. Gumyu asked his apprentice to take out the two hollow tree trunks that he was just worried about. He placed the two hollow tree trunks on the ground and began to say, Wu, see, because the house is located in a different location and there are first and second floors, the water pipes we are bound to pass through many places, but what should we do when we turn? The way the hollow tree trunks are placed on the ground is at a right angle. What is strange about Gumyu is the transition between wood and wood. What should I do? This is also easy to solve. Just use a turning head to solve this problem. Subai took out a branch and began to draw a right-angled turning head on the ground, and explained, look, as long as the turning head is made larger than the original water pipe, but not too big, it can just fit in the water pipe. Go, doesn't this solve the problem of turning? This is not a problem for him, it's just that Gumyu didn't think of it, otherwise he would have been told long ago. But yes, this is the wisdom of modern people, and it is indeed a bit difficult for people who have not been exposed to this aspect. But this is a matter of common sense and operation. As long as Gumyu spends more time studying, he will definitely be able to think of this method. This is so amazing, I didn't think of such a simple solution. Gumyu was shocked. He had been thinking hard all day and couldn't come up with a solution. He hadn't even eaten yet. He didn't expect the solution to be so simple. By the way, have the internal problems been solved? Subai asked. The most difficult part of the tap water system is the water pipes. The water in the river only needs to make good use of the siphon principle. The most important thing is to build the pipes to transport the water. I'm still thinking about it, and I already have a lot of materials to try, but it seems like nothing has changed, Gumyu said regretfully. Although hollow trees are the best water pipe material because there is no need to hollow out the inside, there is also the problem of being damaged by water. Try various methods. If it doesn't work, find other materials. The raw materials of the water pipes must be good, Subai warned. The cleanliness of water pipes is very important. If the inside of the hollow tree rots, it will easily cause the problem of water quality pollution. Even if it can be replaced regularly, it is a huge workload. It takes a lot of time to replace the water pipes. During the replacement, the tribesmen will not be able to use the water, and they will have to go to the river to fetch water. So the best solution is to do these tasks in the early stage to avoid unnecessary trouble in the future. Too much trouble. Yes, I have recently asked my apprentice to go into the forest to search for it. I believe there will be an answer soon. Gumyu said in a deep voice. He secretly vowed in his heart that this problem must be solved. After all, this thing is something that benefits the entire tribe, and it must be done properly. By the way, is there anything you don't understand about the design I gave you before? Subai asked. He remembered that he had drawn a lot of furniture pictures from the other side of the earth before, and there were more than a dozen types of furniture, large and small. Of course, excluding tables, chairs, beds, and the like, the furniture he painted could make life easier. Better. For example, some clothes hangers, clothes drying racks, shoe cabinets, etc. These are not necessary, but they can make the quality of life better. Not at all, the drawings Wu drew are very good, there is nothing unclear about them, they are all very detailed, Gu Mu said immediately. When he saw those drawings, he had to sigh at Subai's wisdom. They were really good things. Of course, he didn't have to worry about these things. He could just leave them to the apprentices. After all, the drawings have been drawn in great detail. If the apprentice can't even do this, then he really doesn't have the talent to be a carpenter. Uncle Gumu, remember to get more rest. You are a very important person in our tribe, Subai warned. He understood that these craftsmen would become obsessed with new things sometimes, which would lead to them forgetting to eat and sleep. Don't worry, Wu, I know what's appropriate. Gumu stroked his gray beard. Now he just wanted to solve the water pipe problem quickly, so that he could sleep well and eat well. Subai knew that it was difficult for the other party to move, so he just stayed in the workshop for a while. Gone. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 966. Wu, where are we going now? Yu Ying asked innocently. Hu Niang has a lot of experience. She used to cook in Yong'an building and she didn't know anything about these things. It wasn't until today that she realized that Wu has developed so many good things. Yeah, everything is jaw-dropping. Now go see the improved version of the steam engine, Subai said with a smile. He has always wanted to improve the steam engine since he developed it last time. The last time the steam engine was used to make iron was more time-consuming. Before the next eternal night comes, the steam engine must be improved. This is the only way. Can we better develop weapons and have a better chance of winning against those ferocious beasts that have changed a lot? Steam engine? Improvement, Yu Ying doesn't quite understand. It's better to think about what to do tonight. Improved the steam engine so quickly, Shalan felt incredible for a moment. Subai nodded lightly and said, as long as there is a prototype, it is not particularly difficult to improve it. Tap tap tap. More than 10 minutes later, several people came to the steam workshop again, ready to take a look at the newly improved steam engine. Since the first steam engine was developed, the Yanlong tribe opened a steam workshop, which was mainly used to develop steam engines. This was Subai's preparation for future steam cars, trains, and even steamships and airships. Only when steam engines are improved better and better can they be qualified to develop these new things. These things were also necessary to improve the quality of life in primitive times. With these things, everyone's travel will be very convenient. It's easy to go from one place to another. This is the modern urban life that Subai wants. Wu, the improved version of the steam engine is ready. Shan immediately walked up. He is the person in charge of the steam workshop, and his great imagination is one of the main reasons why he became the person in charge. The most important thing is that he is only in his 20s, which means there are more miracles waiting for him to create. Okay, let me see how it works. Subai nodded. Yes, Shan nodded immediately, turned around and asked his colleagues in the workshop to operate the steam engine. The people in the workshop tore off the animal skin covering the steam engine, and a huge thing came into view instantly. The appearance was not much different from a large iron box, and the size was just the same. It's almost like a bathtub. The setup above is very simple. It is a moving device composed of several gears and piston moving devices. On the other hand, there is a relatively large boiler, which occupies more than half of the steam engine. In addition, There are several switches to control the operation of the steam engine, and a forced shutdown switch in case something goes wrong with the steam engine and cannot be shut down. Wu, please stay away, I'm afraid something might happen. Shan thought it was better to be on the safe side. Even though he had experimented many times, he didn't want any accident to injure the witch. The witch was the greatest being in the Yanlong tribe. Subai took the girl back some distance. Buzz buzz. Quangjiji. The steam engine immediately began to operate, and the water in the boiler was heated very hot. The steam also began to drive the gears to operate, and the piston moved up and down, left and right. The whole operation is like a precision calculation machine. Wu, we have improved the steam engine many times, all based on the design drawings you gave us. Shan ran over happily. The main thing is to improve the shortcomings of loud noise, and the problem of battery life. One person can operate it. He said a lot, but overall it was much better than the previous steam engines. Let's call him steam engine number 2. The steam engine number 1 was taken back and destroyed, and replaced by number 2. After that, a few more were produced to replace the work Subai ordered. After he learned that the consumption of kerosene fruits from steam engine number 2 was low, he had to remove the kerosene fruits from number 1. Although kerosene fruits are from plants and can be picked at any time, but we must avoid unnecessary waste. Who knows if there will be any problems with these kerosene fruits in the future? It would be nice to save a few more. Subai is planning to let people try to grow kerosene fruits. For such a good thing, you must master the planting method. In the future, when the Yanlong tribe turns into a city, or even a kingdom, more kerosene fruits will be provided. Yes, which Shan responded immediately. By the way, in addition to producing number 2, I hope you can continue to optimize the steam engine. What I want is a smaller one, which will be useful in the future. Subai continued to warn, the steam engine is too big now, it is really a bit inconvenient. Think about it, if such a large steam engine is installed on a car, how big must the car be to integrate the steam engine into it? Overall it is too bulky to walk on the road and not very convenient to operate. I have also thought that I will definitely work hard to develop a small steam engine in the near future, Shan said without hesitation. Small size may be easy, but the performance must not be small. I don't want the steam engine's operating functions to be reduced as the size becomes smaller, Subai warned. Shan instantly felt that the challenge was coming. Although he felt a lot of pressure all of a sudden, he also felt very excited. Because this represents a bigger challenge. If he really succeeds, then his honor will be it feels a little bit more. Don't worry, Wu, I will definitely complete the task well, Shan immediately answered. He began to secretly compete with himself, thinking that he must develop this new thing as quickly as possible. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You have a lot of time, at least a year or two, Subai said softly. Although he really wants to quickly invent trains, cars, and other means of transportation, the current conditions are not ideal. Not to mention the many obstacles in the big forest, it is difficult to find many raw materials alone. Now a large amount of iron ore has not been discovered yet. If you want to make a steam train, you need a lot of iron ore so that you can have the materials to lay the rails. So you need to slowly calculate what to do in the future. Just wait until a large amount of iron ore is found. Got it? Wu believes me, it won't take that long, I think we will have a clue before the big ice and snow comes. Shan said confidently. Subai smiled slightly, turned and left and said, okay, the rest is up to you. Yes, I will never let Wu down, Shan responded excitedly. Subai left without looking back. Encouragement is the greatest motivation for a person. Yu Ying watched intently from the side, and suddenly felt in her heart that Wu is so gentle. She is like this no matter who she treats. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 967. Sudbai returned to Yong'an building to prepare the documents. Today's document is about those slaves. It took a whole day to register yesterday, and the number was really too much. In addition to registering information, the most important thing is to arrange jobs, residence, etc. for them. This is also a troublesome matter, and the slaves of the two tribes have to be temporarily separated, to prevent those people from having unnecessary conflicts or other things. Wu, there are a lot of documents, but it's a pity that I don't know many words, otherwise I can help. Wu Yuying blames herself a little. Sometimes when Hu Niang sees Sudbai busy, she just hates that she knows too little. It's okay. I can still handle these documents. You can make lunch first. Sudbai smiled slightly. In fact, Hu Niang can understand these documents. After all, those who registered know less words than she does. The materials being registered now are all composed of very simple Chinese characters, which Yuying learned. It takes the longest, so she must be able to understand it. But the simple Yuying doesn't know this. She only knows that those documents are all written in text, which must be difficult. The fox-eared lady doesn't want to be a waste of help, so she can save a little. The workload is a little. Yes, Yuying lowered her head pitifully. If she knew that those documents could be read, she would probably regret herself. Sudbai picked up the first document and started browsing. It was normal without exception. Either they don't know anything, or they are carpenters, masons, or people who know herbal medicine. It's good to know herbal medicine. Besides the first time, there are also ways to catch wild beasts and identify which ones can be eaten. How to grow weeds and so on. In short, the more people there are, the more differences there will be. None of these are particularly surprising. Until Sudbai saw the information registered by Chi La, his black eyes suddenly lit up. Isn't this just embroidery? Sudbai's tone was very exciting, and he kept looking at the information without blinking. Although Chi La's name was registered in a mess, it was obvious that she didn't know how to write the word, but she could roughly understand the pronunciation. There are also things she is good at. The matter was not written in detail, and I didn't know how to write it either, but the thing attached next to it explained everything. It was a small piece of animal skin, with a small flower pattern embroidered on it with bone needles. It was self-evident what it represented, and Sudbai was very excited when he saw it. He knew nothing about embroidery and had never read any related books. So even if Sudbai wanted to write some articles on linen, he had no choice but to do so. I don't know much about this aspect, so I have no idea how to start. But it's different now. What's in front of me is a talent, an embroidery talent. What happened to Wu? What happened? Yuying immediately became worried. He felt that Wu had always been very stable, but it was a little different at this moment, as if she had eaten wheat. Xiao came over to take a look at this. What do you think? Sudbai handed over the piece of animal skin embroidery. Yuying took the animal skin embroidery curiously and browsed it. After a while, she was a little surprised and said, this looks really nice. Is it man-made? Hu Niang works with embroidery needles every day. Most of her time is spent sewing and mending clothes. Now when she sees embroidery, she suddenly feels very familiar. Yes, this is man-made. Do you think it looks good? Sudbai asked again. I think it looks very good. If it can appear on our clothes, it will definitely look very good, Yuying said without hesitation. Think about the skirt you are wearing now. If it no longer has nothing on it, but has these patterns on it, it will definitely look much better than without any pattern. That's absolutely right. In my hometown, there are many fabrics with this pattern, no, all kinds of patterns. Sudbai rubbed the fox-eared girl's head and said gently, then use patterned fabrics to make clothes. The effect will be very beautiful. He suddenly felt that there was a business opportunity. As long as this person is well trained, he will definitely be very good in embroidery in the future. Subai has long been tired of monotonous fabrics, even if they add colors. Only when there are patterns on the fabrics this is the most surprising thing. To be exaggerated, it's like giving life to this dress. Wu, is this person one of the slaves? Yu Ying asked curiously. Yes, after looking at it for a while, I finally saw a talent. Subai smiled with satisfaction. If we give her the linen, maybe such a beautiful pattern will appear, right? Yu Ying asked expectantly. Subai smiled, took a sip of tea and said, it's absolutely fine. I'll find her after I finish reading these documents. Wu, why don't you find her now? Yu Ying asked curiously. Silly girl, I still have a lot of documents that I haven't read yet. If some talents appear again, I won't have to make another trip, so don't do things that can be done once and for all. Subai glanced at the document and showed it to the fox-eared lady, and continued, what we have to pay attention to when doing things is efficiency, you know. Yu Ying nodded happily, but when she saw the documents, the expression on her face seemed a little different. She looked at it a few more times, then her pink eyes widened and said, Wu, these documents seem to me like understand. The fox-eared lady thought about what she just said, and when she saw these documents, she blushed instantly. Ha 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 ha, I've almost finished reading it, so don't take it to heart. Subai smiled heartily. Wu, I'm sorry I couldn't help in time. Yu Ying was full of guilt. Subai reached out and pinched the other person's face, and said gently, you have always been able to help me, so don't blame yourself. Yes, Yu Ying's soft voice sounded. Subai picked up the document and continued to read it. After reading Chi La's information, there was another surprise in his black eyes. The content of the document in his hand was about Lulu's, it's written more clearly above. That is to say, Lulu is good at making things that make sounds, and the sounds are quite nice. These characters are not difficult for people who have just learned Chinese characters, and each character is also written more neatly. If what I thought is right, this is most likely a musical instrument, right? I didn't expect that people in primitive times could still make musical instruments. The corners of Subai's mouth rose slightly. Two talents came in one after another, and the boring things in front of him were instantly forgotten. Musical instrument? Wu, what is this? Yu Ying has been listening silently. Fox-eared lady is doing two things at once. She is carefully observing Subai while mending clothes. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 968. After Chi La and Lulu collected their things, they returned to the wooden house according to the number plate. The two of them happened to be assigned together, which made them extremely happy. We were relatively familiar with each other before, but now we have moved to a new tribe. Of course we are happy to be able to live together. What's more, now we live in a wooden house, and we no longer live in a tent like before. Going forward, the life of the girls was even worse. They slept directly in the wild. When heavy ice and snow comes, several people can squeeze into one tent. There is no better life besides this. Now I can actually be assigned a wooden house. Of course I am very happy. This place looks really nice. Is it really for us? I can't believe it. Lulu was so shocked that she couldn't even close her mouth. Stop talking about you. I still can't believe it. Am I dreaming? Chi La pinched her face hard. She found that the pain was still there. It was obvious that everything now was real. It's great, I don't have to see the moon in the sky tonight. I love the flame dragon tribe, Lulu blurted out. This is the first time in her life that she said she fell in love with a tribe. Even if she is now a slave, there is no way to stop her from saying that she likes the Yanlong tribe. Not only you, I also like this tribe very much. It seems that it is really right that we were chosen to be sent here. Chi La instantly felt a sense of relief. Even though she was still a slave when she came to the Yanlong tribe, The place she lives in now is very nice. And the things they distributed were also pretty good. Both of them were holding a wooden stick in their hands. Basin, water cup, toothbrush, etc. The method of making a toothbrush is also very simple, just use a small wooden stick and some harder animal hairs. Did you listen carefully to what they said just now about how to use this toothbrush? Lulu asked curiously. Because the girl was too curious, she didn't even pay attention to how to use these things. I know you didn't listen carefully. I'll demonstrate it to you when you get up tomorrow. Sheila has memorized the usage deeply in her mind. When they received these items, the person distributing them explained to them how to use the items. By the way, we all have no work today, can we get food? Lulu started to worry about what to eat at night. That's what slaves are like. If they don't work, they don't have to eat. That's not to say, it all depends on the mood of the person above. If they happen to be in a bad mood, you don't have to eat. Although I have been allocated such a good house and good things now. But the most realistic thing is to eat. It will be time to have dinner soon. That's right, I almost forgot about it if you didn't tell me. What should we do with our things for tonight? Sheila also began to feel worried. Although some food was distributed when he arrived at the Yanlong tribe yesterday, it is impossible to distribute it every day. The reason for arriving yesterday was that it was a bit late, and everyone also needed to rest. That's why we didn't let everyone work. But everyone didn't do anything today, and most tribes would not be so kind to give food. As long as you don't work, you don't have anything to eat. Many tribes are so cruel, no matter what the reason is. Same. Even if you are so sick that you are about to die or so sick that you can't get out of bed to work, they still won't give you food. Even if you die, they think it's nothing, and the meat from the corpse can be used to feed other slaves. Eat. Although other slaves did not want to eat these corpses, in order to survive, they had no choice but to eat their companions. Should we go out and ask, or ask if there is any work for us to do? Lulu frowned and said worriedly, I'm a little hungry now. If I don't eat tonight, I'm afraid I won't have the energy to work tomorrow. It's good to do well as soon as possible, but food is what needs to be solved most. Yes, let's go ask. Anyway, it's not completely dark yet. If we have to work to have something to eat, maybe we can get another meal. Sheila nodded repeatedly. She is also used to eating at night. Among slaves, she is relatively lucky. Because she has been a slave for many years, she still has some eyesight. In the first 2 years, I was hungry. But after I slowly became more mellow, I was able to eat at least one meal every day. Just do it. Lulu left the wooden house immediately. 10 minutes later, the two returned to the wooden house with smiles on their faces. For no other reason, the answer they got was that they can still have a day off today. The most important thing is that the food will be distributed. But I have to start working tomorrow. How come the Yanlong tribe is so kind to us? Lulu happily stood on tiptoe inside the wooden house. The girl couldn't believe what she just heard. It was like a dream. Maybe it's because they just asked us what we're good at and we told the truth, so the treatment is a little different. Sheila guessed. She wasn't very sure, because the previous tribe never seemed to ask what you were good at. Anyway, you are a slave when you come here, and you just have to do the lowest things. No one cares about what you do. No, as far as I know all slaves can get a rest today. Lulu blinked her eyes innocently. Then I don't know. Let's ask again tomorrow. Maybe other slaves will know. Sheila shook her head innocently. By the way, they suddenly asked us what we were good at and what we were going to do, Lulu asked curiously. Maybe we should be assigned jobs based on what we are good at, maybe. Sheila guessed. She always felt that she wouldn't ask what she was good at for no reason. She must have asked before she had some arrangements. I don't expect too much, as long as I can eat enough. Lulu started to feel the bed. This was the first time she had felt this thing since she was so old. If someone hadn't explained it to her, she wouldn't have known what it was. But this wooden house is really nice. I didn't expect the Yanlong tribe to treat their slaves so well, Chi La sighed. After not having to worry about food, he began to really examine this wooden house. Of course, not all slaves have wooden houses, and those who are good at things are given priority. Because there are not many wooden houses, and some are tents, and some slaves have to live in tents. But they are already grateful. You must know that there may not even be tents before. And several people squeeze into a small one, but now they share 4 people into one large one, so it will not be crowded at all. Start looking forward to tomorrow. Lulu smiled happily. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 969. Subai raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said mysteriously, "It's something that can make beautiful music." He didn't expect musical instruments to be available in the primitive era just yet, but he didn't expect them to be delivered to his door so soon. What is music? Yu Ying heard strange words again. Fox Ear Girl heard a lot of strange words at once, and she couldn't digest them. Have you forgotten Luz's music? Subai asked with narrowed eyes. I get it, singing those beautiful words is music, right? Yu Ying suddenly realized. It doesn't have to be sung to be considered music, the beautiful sounds produced by musical instruments can also be considered music, Subai continued to explain. So that's it, I learned it again. Yu Ying shook her pink foxtail. Maybe you'll like it? And maybe you also have a musical talent, Subai smiled faintly. Yu Ying nodded thoughtfully, blinked her pink eyes and said, I have to look forward to it. Let me finish reading the rest first, and then bring the talent over to take a look, Subai said softly. Yes, Yu Ying nodded and continued busy with her work obediently. Subai took out the paper and continued to browse. He had to read all the documents quickly. Those slaves must also want to work, so let them. After resting for a long time, you will feel flustered. After all, they have been working at a high intensity, and if they are not given any work, they will inevitably feel that something is going to happen. Nothing seems too special after that. Subai read through many of the remaining documents. After reading all the slave information, he found that the remaining ones were similar to the previous ones. Of course, there are some special ones, that is, many people have many unique ideas. Subai doesn't want to meet these people yet. Let these people work for a while first. When some talents are needed at some point, he can then find these people to train them. Wu, have you finished reading it? Yu Ying stood up immediately. The fox-eared girl had been waiting beside her, curious and wanted to let her know what embroidery and musical instruments were. After reading it all, go find these 2 talents for me, Subai smiled. Good. Yu Ying turned around and asked the maid at the door to find someone. Subai stretched out, took out a brand new paper, and prepared to draw some pictures about embroidery and musical instruments. The primitive tribes that followed soon had different. There was a sound, and some exquisite clothes. An hour later, Chi La and Lulu were taken to Yong'an building by the reserve soldiers. They were checked many times when they went up to make sure there were no threats on them. Chi La and Lulu immediately lowered their heads. Since they were brought into Yong'an building, they have not dared to raise their heads. They have lowered their heads and looked scared from the beginning to the end. This is the first time that they have been raped by a tribe. The witch summoned him and came to the center of the tribe. The most important thing is that the houses in the Yanlong tribe are very good, but he is lucky enough to step into the best house in the tribe. It is inevitable that he is a little in awe. Don't be too scared, just relax, Subai's gentle voice sounded. He saw that the girls' feet were trembling all the time, and their tone of voice when greeting was also trembling. Especially their heads were so low that they were almost buried in their chests, and their clothes were in tatters. But it's not particularly dirty. The two of them played very late last night and were surprised by everything they saw. Yes, Chi-La and the two nodded, but still didn't dare to raise their heads. Don't be nervous, Wu is a very good person and won't do anything to you. Yu Ying stepped forward and comforted her. Fox Ear Girl seemed to have seen her past self. She was also very scared before, and sometimes she didn't dare to raise her head and do anything. Chi-La felt Yu Ying's warmth and was still trembling. Her legs are no longer shaking so much, and her hands are no longer holding the sides of her clothes tightly. The same goes for Lulu. She is relatively young, only 16 years old, and has never seen a witch before. She is shaking will be more powerful. What you are good at is very special. Can you tell us how you came up with it? Subai asked. I discovered it by chance. I only had one animal skin skirt. If it got torn, I wouldn't be able to wear it anymore. La looked at the messy patches on the skirt and continued, so I had to find a way to put them together, The tiger-eared girl did not hide her discovery at all, but she was not very nervous when she said these words. Subai nodded with satisfaction, because after seeing the other party, it was not that simple after all. He had been stuttering during the short self-introduction, but he was very fluent in such a long paragraph. I also do it casually when I have nothing to do, because I am really tired after a day of work, so I can only find these things to relieve my mood. Lulu also said happily. However, the two of them still lowered their heads and still did not dare to look up and look elsewhere, let alone Subai. Very good, you are all smart. These things are exactly what the Yanlong tribe needs. Are you willing to work for the Yanlong tribe? Subai asked gently. Of course he knew they were willing, but he still had to ask. This is called creating a personality and making them like him from the bottom of his heart. Only in this way will they also like the tribe, and more importantly, will not betray the tribe. Wu, we are now slaves of the Yanlong tribe, and working for the tribe is what we should do. Chi-La said word by word. She had thought about it for a long time last night. After coming to the Yanlong tribe, she must be very careful when speaking in front of others, let alone in front of witches. Yes, we are willing to work for the tribe until we die. Lulu said what she had learned from other tribes before. What I'm talking about is either this or you really becoming members of the Yanlong tribe. Subai also spoke very slowly. Chi-La and Lulu were stunned for a moment. They lowered their heads and looked at me. They didn't know what to do for a while. Yu Ying still had a pink foxtail wagging. After a moment, they came back to their senses. Wu, do you mean to make us no longer slaves? Chi-La asked with courage. Her originally tense atmosphere had eased a lot, but now her heart was tightening again. Of course, don't you want to? Subai took a sip of tea and looked at them in a daze. It was really cute. Lulu pinched her arm hard until it hurt and let go, making sure it was not a dream. She slowly raised her head, ready to reply. She was stunned again. Chi-La on the side was also the same. The two of them seemed to have pressed the pause button. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 970. When Chi-La and Lulu looked up and saw Subai's face, they were stunned on the spot. The two of them always wondered if they had seen it wrong, and they even opened their eyes very wide. When the two girls really saw Subai's face and that voice, they were no longer calm. In their impression, the shamans of a tribe are very, very old. Even the youngest one is over 50 years old, but Subai seems to be about the same age as them. At most, he is only a few years older than them. Is such a young person a witch? Are you surprised at my age, or at my decision? Just when Chi-La and Lulu were very confused, Subai spoke. Are you really a shaman from the Yanlong tribe? Chi-La asked hesitantly. The girl lowered her head immediately after asking the question, realizing that she was not qualified to ask this question. Lulu also became nervous instantly, for no other reason than she was afraid that she would be punished later. Slaves are originally the lowest existence is like this in every tribe. They are not qualified to raise their heads at all, and they are even less qualified to talk to people other than slaves. What's more, the person in front of them now may be a witch, and they ask the question is always troubling my heart right now. We can't be so rude. We witches are the witches of the Yanlong tribe. This is something everyone knows, a maid said immediately. Yu Ying kept hiding next to Subai, with a faint blush on her pretty face. Although the fox-eared lady has slowly become bolder, she is still a little timid. Have you seen me? People who have experienced this will be like this, always hiding behind Subai and not daring to speak. Subai raised his hand and pressed it, indicating it's okay, don't be so nervous now. He also understands. After all, witches are a stereotype for these people. In their eyes, witches must be old. This is the first time for someone as young as him. It is very strange to show such an expression. It's normal, but it's not too rude, and the performance is okay. Of course, Subai knows that this has something to do with their status as slaves. After all, they must live a cautious life. As long as you are a little bit out of line or cause trouble, you will not be punished at all. You can't live in a tribe for so long. Wu, please forgive us for what we just did. Chi La breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. She originally thought it was over and she would have a better life, but she would be punished if she made a mistake. I didn't expect Wu Qing to be so generous. Since he didn't pursue their problems. You don't have to live in such fear in the future. Subai saw the confused look in the other person's eyes and explained, oh, you just don't have to be so afraid. He thinks it's a good thing to have awe, but don't be like a rat crossing the street, always showing fear. It's tiring to look at, and there's no way to do things better. This is not what he wants. What's more, I still cherish talents very much. After all, it was a bit difficult to find someone with skills in primitive times. What's more, now one is making musical instruments and the other is embroidery. It is even more important to stay in the tribe. But don't let them work too hard, which will lead to unsatisfactory results at work. Which, can we really get rid of our status as slaves in the future? Chi La thought for a while and then plucked up the courage to ask, because she knew that the person in front of her was not a cruel person. He was not an unreasonable person. In just a few short words, she could confirm that the person in front of her was doing something for the tribe. People who think about it? That's why she dares to ask these questions. After all, she is worried about getting rid of her slave status. No one wants to be a slave. The slaves were all from various tribes before, but the tribes were destroyed. They have just become slaves. This is not their original intention, so being able to get rid of the status that everyone tramples on is what they want most. Of course, I never lie. As long as you work hard, I will remove you from your slave status after a certain period of time. Subai picked up a cup of tea that Fox-ear girl had poured. It's up to you whether you stay or leave when the time comes, but the prerequisite is that you have to work hard. Of course, it was just what he said to ask them to leave. Anyway, it is absolutely impossible for people who have stayed in the Yanlong tribe for a period of time to leave. Subai was very sure of this, so he said it generously. This condition. Even if the other party leaves, it will be fine. After all, the other party's technology has been retained, and a lot of people will have been trained by then. We are willing to work for witches, and we are even more willing to work for the Yanlong tribe. We are born as members of the Yanlong tribe, and we die as the souls of the Yanlong tribe. Chi La and Lulu were particularly serious for a moment. Subai's answer made them feel calm. They had never heard people from other tribes say this before, because in the eyes of those people, slaves they are slaves. No matter how hard you work, you will always be a slave. There is no way you will become a member of the tribe. You will always be the lowest existence. So they are the ones who want to get rid of the status of slaves the most. And Subai just gave them this goal. For them, they have hope for the rest of their lives. Working for the Yanlong tribe is nothing but trivial matters. Very good, you guys have a good rest today. I will give you a detailed information tomorrow. Then you can look at the information and study it. Subai put down the water glass, sat up straight and said, as long as you work for 3 years, you can completely get rid of your status as a slave. He felt that giving the slaves 3 years is already very fast. After all, they have worked hard for so many years. It is nothing to continue working for 3 years, not to mention that the work of the Yanlong tribe is not as inhumane as other tribes. There is still hope for them. Of course, this is a privilege given to those with skills. Those who know nothing can get rid of slavery in 5 years if they perform well and work hard enough. Identity. Woo, isn't the time a bit short? Chi La couldn't believe it. She didn't want to ask at first, because the time was really too short, which was certainly a good thing for her. But she is not someone who likes to be opportunistic, not to mention that Wu was already very good to them. I just want to ask more clearly. No, this time is just right. If you perform very well during this period, it may even be shorter than this time. Subai's eyes were particularly determined. Everything depends on your performance, so go for it. He is not one of those people who likes to draw cakes. Of course he also knows how to motivate this matter. Yes, which, Chi La was so excited that people's eyes were filled with tears. They had never felt such real words before, and their hearts were filled with mixed emotions. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 971. Subai continued to sign in the system as usual as soon as he got up. He hasn't received intermediate packages for a long time recently, and most of them are elementary rewards. Moreover, there are many repeated primary rewards, such as combs, mirrors, toothpaste, shower gel, etc. However, these things are not useless. After all, they are all consumables, so they are still useful if left alone. What's more, he is not the only one in Yong'an building, there are also girls. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in. Ding! Congratulations to the host for receiving intermediate assistance, flame control. Subai lost his composure immediately after hearing this. He had given up hope on the idea of randomly issuing intermediate assistance. After all, such a long time has passed, and intermediate assistance will only be issued within the specified time. And most of them are items, not much related to talents and skills. But it is different now. Now I have randomly received an intermediate aid, and it is such a good talent. No matter who it is, it will not be calm. Subai was no exception. He suppressed his excitement in the room, and even suppressed the urge to shout. System, send me the details of flame control. Subai mentally summoned the system. Now that there is intermediate assistance and it is a talent skill, it is even more important to know the details of this talent skill. Ding! Detailed information about the flame manipulation talent skill has been released. It was as if a warm stream of heat poured into Subai's mind and began to wrap around his brain. This feeling was very comfortable, and a large amount of knowledge began to pour into his memory. Subai digested it quickly. With this knowledge, the happy smile on his face can no longer be suppressed. Flame manipulation, as the name suggests, is the ability to control flames. As long as it is a flame, you can control it. Transfer the flame from its original place to another place, or transfer the flame, the fire becomes bigger. Or it changes the flame from a burning state to extinguished. These are the abilities of flame manipulation. But it's a pity that I can only control flames, But I can't produce them. Subai felt a little regretful. When he heard about flame control at first, of course what he thought in his heart was that it was like a certain anime on the other side of the earth. His whole body could catch fire, and no weapons would work against him. And he could burn at any time and anywhere. There are a lot of flames. After seeing the detailed information, I still feel a bit pity. Of course, this talent is still very good. Although I can't produce flames, I can control the existing flames at will, which is also very unnatural. Got it? As far as I know, some witches can also control fire, so does this mean I have the ability of other witches? Subai nodded thoughtfully and murmured to himself, but this can be regarded as a life-saving trump card, and it is also a symbol of the Yanlong tribe's strength. He was curious about the Yanlong tribe from the beginning. Why is it called the Yanlong tribe? Although it has the dragon totem, it seems to have nothing to do with flames. Originally, the old witch didn't know any witchcraft to control flames, but he changed his mind later. Think about it. It is most likely that the previous witch guilds were just passed down from generation to generation, resulting in no one learning this witchcraft. But these have passed. Subai thinks that he can control flames now, which is more similar to the name Yanlong tribe. It matched. He opened the property panel with satisfaction and began to check the various data inside. Property panel. Host, Subai. Stamina, 14.5. Normal 1. Strength, 18.7. Normal 1. Speed, 19.9. Ordinary person 1. Spirit, 90.1, Ordinary person 1. Witch power, 4000. 4000/100000. Totem, Flame Dragon. Occupation, Junior Wizard. Novelist. Skill, Healing Leave 10. 8000/10,000. 111 square meters of space. Domestication Leave 10. 9700/10,000. Plant growth technique Leave 10. 7001/10,000. Danger warning. Refers to grabbing Leave 4. 200/400. Iron arm Leave 4. 210/400. Extract conversion technique Leave 1. 60/100. Fire control. Explanation: you have gotten rid of an ordinary person in a sub-healthy state and upgraded to a shaman with extraordinary power. Please remember your original intention. Subai looked at the series of skills, not to mention how happy he felt. He never thought that he would have so many skills at first. After all, he knew that there was a sign-in system. But I never knew that I could have so many useful talents and skills, including healing, defense, and of course attack. There is no level limit for flame control, which means there is no more room for improvement. Subai murmured to himself and looked at the attribute panel. Anyway, let's test it first. After he finished speaking, he picked up a lighter from the table. This was a system reward that was just released yesterday. Subai opened the lighter without hesitation, and a small flame came out. He stretched out his hand to face the lighter. The small flame of the lighter summoned the system in his heart and used flame control. In an instant, Subai's hand emitted a faint orange-red light. The small flame on the lighter also began to tremble, swaying from side to side as if dancing. Even it also left the original fire outlet of the lighter and began to float in the air. Subai Shun put the lighter back on the table and flicked it up with his finger. The small flame also jumped up. Anyway, it was only Subai's finger. Wherever you point, the little flame will also run wherever it goes, changing several forms along the way. Of course, these are all changes brought about by Subai's control of his mind. Sometimes the little flame turns into a little rabbit, and sometimes it turns into a big rabbit. The elephant. It was like a lump of plasticine that could be transformed at will. This experiment lasted for several minutes. By the way, I remember that flame manipulation can make the original flame bigger or disappear. Subai thought of this, immediately looked at the small flame, and said, "Burn violently." The small flame began to expand after receiving the instruction. From the original flame, like a small leaf, it began to turn into a raging fire. The whole flame was burning like a basketball, and the entire room was covered with orange red fire. It really does get bigger according to my thoughts, but I can't feel any heat. Subai was thinking with satisfaction, his black eyes always falling on the flame. He controlled his mind to change the basketball-sized flame back to its original appearance, and then made it disappear. A series of operations were only 10 less than a minute later. Subai was enjoying the game. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 973. Subai continued to control the flames to make the girls happy. The main reason is to experiment with how long it takes to control the flames, and in the end I found out that there is no time limit. Stop as long as you want to stop, start the fire as long as you want, it's all driven by your thoughts. I will try my best to research in the past few days and transfer the flame into the witch dominoes, so that you can also use the flame in the future. Subai transferred the flame back into the fire pit to prevent it from floating around and accidentally burning something. The witch is not in a hurry, the most important thing is that the witch has a good rest first, Yanhua said immediately. However, Niojiao Niang was very much looking forward to it, but in order to let Subai have a good rest, she had to say this. For new things, Yanhua is always the first to run ahead. This isn't like you, Subai teased the other party. Which, that's because you have given us a lot of witch dominoes now, but they haven't been used yet. Yanhua explained. There are already more than a dozen witch dominoes stacked in the horned animal skin bag. This is nothing more than a very luxury for a totem warrior. For no other reason, some totem warriors even there is not even one witch domino. Not to mention that now there are more than a dozen of them. Even some intermediate totem warriors don't have so many tiles on their bodies. That is before the actual implementation of the mission. When the mission begins, you may feel that these witch dominoes are not enough. Subai said as he walked towards the dining table, where the prepared breakfast was already laid out. When eternal night arrives, it might come in handy. Yanhua also stepped over. Yes, who knows whether this year's everlasting night will be different, Subai nodded thoughtfully. Last year's Yanjai was like this. It has never been the case in the history of the Yanlong tribe. Since there is such a precedent, everyone has to be prepared this year. Wu, don't worry, everyone has been training hard recently, and everyone's strength has been greatly improved. Yanhua sat boldly in her seat and smiled heartily. What's more, everyone has witch dominoes and weapons made by witches for everyone. We are absolutely confident. There is a reason why Niojiao Niang is so confident, just like what she just said. Witch dominoes are a very luxurious thing for every tribe, which is why the Green Vine tribe and the Earth Tiger tribe are not willing to hand them over. The reason for the witch dominoes. It is true that warriors are the foundation of a tribe, but so are the witch dominoes. Some witch dominoes can only be driven by warriors, but some witch dominoes can be driven by ordinary people. As long as you have the witch dominoes in hand, in fact, just big and small is equivalent to having half a warrior. I have always been at ease and believed in you, Subai smiled gently. Now that he has so many talents and skills, in addition to ensuring his own safety, what Subai wants to do most is to ensure the development of this tribe. After all, there is still a long way to go before it becomes a city. So he not only to ensure his own safety, but also to ensure the safety of the entire tribe. At this time, it is necessary for Subai to transfer his talent skills to the witch bone tiles. Expanding combat power is always the most fundamental way to protect a tribe. After all, the strength exuded by the witch dominoes was much inferior to that of himself. Sudbai didn't have to worry about the threat to his safety if the witch dominoes were given out. Anyway, there were so many loyal people around him. Wu, you asked me to investigate the tribes in the entire forest and the results have come out, Yeju reported very seriously. Lang Er Niang will now have 3 meals a day in Yong'an building. After all, in addition to doing tasks, she is Sudbai's personal bodyguard. She was arranged to count the forest some time ago. Of course, the number of tribes inside is not an entire forest. I don't know how long it will take to count them like this. They only count the number within 5 days of flying in a hot air balloon. 5 days is actually a long time. What's more, flying with a hot air balloon. You know, flying a hot air balloon for 1 day is equivalent to traveling on the ground for 4 or 5 days. So flying a hot air balloon for 5 days is equivalent to traveling on the ground for almost a month. How many tribes are there in total? Sudbai asked. He really calculated the time. From the release of this mission to the departure and return, this time is almost the same. There are more than 300 large and small tribes in total, including 12 large tribes and the rest are medium tribes and small tribes. Yeju carefully recalled the reports of his subordinates and continued. Large tribes include the Earth Tiger tribe, Wild Fox tribe, Giant Bear tribe, etc., and medium-sized tribes such as the Green Vine tribe. The wolf-eared lady told all the information word for word, and she said it in great detail. What are the tribes closest to us? Are their combat effectiveness and threat great? Sudbai asked. He was about to start paving the way for his city, that is, he was starting to arrange highways. Since these roads were to be arranged, he had to have good relations with other tribes. Sudbai was not we will build these roads to reach them in vain, but we need to know the information before that. A tribe closer to us? There are the Green Vine tribe, the Earth Tiger tribe, and the Pheasant tribe. These 3 tribes are the closest to us. Yeju blinked her gray eyes, except for one being a medium-sized tribe, the other 2 are large tribes. The large tribes are very strong, but we will not lose. Lang Er Niang doesn't want to mention the Green Vine tribe at all. In her eyes, this tribe poses no threat to the Yanlong tribe at all. However, the other 2 large tribes are worth mentioning. After all, they are large tribes, in terms of strength and manpower. Dominant. But the reason why Yeju said that they are not the opponent of the Yanlong tribe is because the tribe is now developing very well. Mainly because of the weapons and witch dominoes, and the tribe has tamed many ferocious beasts. All of these were tamed with the witch dominoes given by Sudbai. In addition to the daily tamed beasts, there are also ferocious beasts with strong combat capabilities, most of which have become the follower beasts of the totem warriors. Interesting. Let's wait until the big snow and ice arrives before we start negotiating with them. The corners of Sudbai's mouth rose slightly. He was already preparing to make the next move. If this move is done well, the Yanlong tribe will develop better. Yes. Yeju didn't ask anything in detail. He only knew that Wu's decision was the right one. Yan Hua and others didn't even ask anything, and were eating breakfast quietly beside them. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 974. The Yehu tribe is very busy now, and everyone is preparing for the upcoming rainy season. Although they are big pineapples and store a lot of food inside, the rainy season is no joke. Although their geographical location is relatively advantageous, being on a high hill, the rain that comes during the rainy season cannot flood them. But this also means that they can't go into the forest to pick some fruits, so they must have a lot of dried meat reserves. It is very painful to be unable to eat any fruits and vegetables throughout the rainy season. Even if they are a large tribe, there is nothing they can do about it. Yetu had just rushed back from the market, and many of the totem warriors behind him had carried many bags. The Yahoo tribe's dried meat was not scarce, so going to the market to exchange it was definitely not for dried meat. Most of them were exchanged for some fruits and things needed by the tribe, and the most were some animal skins. Because the Yahoo tribe is a very large one, there are also many people in the tribe. The most important thing is that there are many nobles and fox people in the tribe. When the rainy season arrives, the temperature will also drop. Especially those nobles, they have to change clothes every now and then. And the clothes they wear are all made of animal skins, which means that their demand for animal skins is very high. How about it? Have we got everything we need in exchange? Dedong asked. He calculated that it was almost time. The soldiers who went out to the market should come back at this time. We exchanged everything back. I don't know why, but the exchange went very smoothly this time. There weren't too many people trying to grab it from us. Yeto said. The Yahoo tribe is a big tribe, and there are certainly not many tribes who would dare to rob things from them. But the big tribes definitely dare to rob things from the big tribes, so sometimes when they go to exchange things, they will often when encountering other big tribes grabbing the same batch of things with them, sometimes it depends on who has more things. This is when fighting for the big tribe's face and the big tribe's heritage. The Yahoo tribe is not the kind to be very competitive. People sometimes tend to compromise. Of course, they will still fight in the early stage, but if their opponent suddenly bids too high, they will choose to give up directly. You said this time it went very smoothly, shouldn't it? Isn't the rainy season coming soon? Dedong frowned. He was full of confusion. He felt that this was not normal at all. This is the rainy season. Many people will die during the rainy season. They cannot go out to hunt and need to store a lot of food. Why are there such big tribes now? No more grabbing things with them. This is simply unbelievable. Do those people have enough food? No one grabs with them in the market. This was the case in every rainy season before. Sometimes the wild fox tribe would fight for food. To avoid big tribes trying to grab things from them, they usually go there in advance. There are more than half of the people in the spotted deer tribe less than usual. No, more than half, more people are missing. Yetu recalled the scene in the tribe and continued, the spotted deer tribe has a lot of things that have been hoarded and have not been exchanged at all, so we exchanged them smoothly. He didn't know why after going to the spotted deer tribe, there was almost no one there. Did you read it wrong or went to the wrong tribe? This is the rainy season. Dedong looked dubious. Don't those small tribes also exchange things? Rainy season, do you know rainy season? He always feels that the other party is lying, and sometimes even feels that these things were stolen from other tribes. It's not that the things stolen are not good. For the big tribes, they are qualified to snatch things from the small tribes. But as a chief, he doesn't like his subordinates to panic. What is robbed is what is robbed, and what is exchanged is exchanged. It doesn't matter if you join the tribe. After all, it is a good thing to be able to exchange it back. No one will blame you. What are you doing? But he said that there were almost no people in the spotted deer tribe, and the exchange of things went very smoothly, which was very confusing. Chief, I am telling the truth. These things were indeed exchanged for me in the spotted deer tribe, and there are indeed no people inside. Yeto's expression was very serious, and he was even a little angry. He was angry because he was suspected. Of course he thought what he said was incredible, but that was the fact. He was not lying at all. Are you sure you're not lying? This is true. Did you get it from the spotted deer tribe? Dedong's eyes were very serious. As the chief of a large tribe, the reputation of the tribe is very important, and the same goes for the totem warriors. Chief, you have known me for so long, do you think I am a liar? If I did it, I did it, if I didn't do it, I didn't do it. Yetu was completely angry. That's strange. Have you ever asked to find out why? Daedong asked. He saw that the other party was getting angry. It was obvious that the other party did not speak, but he wanted to know the truth of the matter. I'm not sure if what I heard is correct, but I often hear people talking about the Flame Dragon tribe. Yetu scratched the back of his head. This tribe is the one I heard about the most along the way, but because I was in a hurry, I didn't even ask about it in detail. When he was changing things in the tribe, the 4 words he heard most were the words Yanlong tribe. But because time was urgent, he was also worried that other big tribes would suddenly appear to snatch things from them. So he finished the exchange immediately. The things left directly without making too many stops. Yanlong tribe? Wasn't this tribe already destroyed before? As the chief of a large tribe, Daedong still knows about some other tribes on this continent. As for the Yanlong tribe, he knew that it was destroyed because of the Black Snake tribe. Why did he hear news about them now? I was also curious, so I heard it many times. They were talking about the Yanlong tribe. I shouldn't have heard it wrong. Kuratsuka was very sure that he heard correctly. This is strange. Have you arranged for someone to ask? Daedong asked. Of course, he is already on the road and will probably be back in a few days. By then, he should know what is going on. Yetu said immediately. He was also curious about what happened, but because business was important, he only arranged for 2 people to go. That's good, put your things down first, and then go and have a rest. Daedong nodded. Because it took more than 10 days to go out this time, and it was really a test of strength in the primeval forest for 10 days. Yes, Chief Yetu is really too tired. He really tried his best to avoid the ferocious beasts along the way, and it was very difficult to move forward. He has been hiding in the primeval forest. Please update for support and customization.